Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined as always by Josh Bowe. We're talking to you a little before 10 o'clock on Thursday, January 23rd. The Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder for the third time this season, this time shocking the Oklahoma City Thunder with a true skeleton crew of Mavericks 121-115. Josh Bowe, how are you?
I'm doing good. Is it hyperbole to say I don't know if that's the best win, but is that the most feel-good win of the season so far?
Oh, yes. Second night of a back-to-back. The Mavericks have 7 players on the injury report. Playing against an Oklahoma City Thunder team that's lost 7 times, 2 of those times to the Dallas Mavericks, now 3 times. Coming in and winning on the road with contributions from pretty much every guy that stepped out onto the floor tonight did something really useful for the Mavericks. And, I wrote in the recap last night that the Mavericks just didn't have enough with 8 guys, which is factually true. And so the fact that every single guy that played minutes tonight did something that we could write home about is really, really, really fun. And frankly, we've earned it. The Mavericks have had an awful run of injury luck. This team has not been particularly fun or interesting to talk about because what can you say? They're built a certain way, and then, bad luck happens paired with the bad schedule. And it's just, at a certain point, you got to stop blaming everybody except for the basketball gods and say that this sucks, which was sort of where I was last night, despite a valiant effort. It's hard to be mad. And I get it if you are mad, but it's just, this was really something, man. There's a lot of things we could talk about. Jeremy Harrington talking about what we should start with. And I think Jeremy makes a pretty avid point just because I think it set the tone early in the game, but I'm going to let you kind of tee us off. What do you think? What should we talk about first, man? Do we kind of recap the game here? I don't know.
I don't know. We could, but just if we could recap the game, but my takeaway is just, I kind of bouncing off what you said, it was like a total team effort. Mm-hmm. Like you said, everyone that played, it was top to bottom. Everyone that played contributed positively in some form or fashion. I thought Jason Kidd coached a really good game.
Timeouts, the appropriate spots.
Yeah, timeouts at appropriate spots. I thought the lineup
substitutions.
Good subs. I thought their game plan was on point. I thought defensively they seemed like they knew what they wanted to do against this Oklahoma City team. I thought offensively they at least tried some different things. I think the thing that we said last night when they lost to the Wolves regarding the coaching staff was they just need to be flexible and adaptable, because it's obviously they've got dealt a shitty hand with these injuries. There's not much they can do. So the best thing that you could ask for them is to just don't be stagnant and change things up, because you're going to have to, because they got to kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. You know what I mean? So like they just can't get tunnel vision with a lineup or a style of play, because you're down so many guys. You just kind of got to go on the fly and you got to adjust and adapt as quickly as you can. Thought they did that. He started a different starting lineup. I thought he gave some guys some good minutes that he hadn't been giving minutes before. Not saying he should have. I'm just saying, he reached into his bag of, tricks and pulled something out. And I thought their game plan strategically was on point on both sides of the ball. I saw a lot of small pick and rolls, like Dinwiddie and Kyrie screening for each other, which I think we talked about last night. They didn't do enough. I thought defensively, they seemed like they knew exactly what they wanted to do against Shea. And I don't know, Shea literally scored 54 points his last game. And I think
he scored a bunch in the fourth. The Mavericks really kept him under control.
His box score looks good, but he did not have a good first 3 quarters at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this was really an interesting game. Kessler Edwards gets the start, and the Mavericks, you're watching this game from home. You have the TV on. Spencer Dinwiddie also gets the start, which was, I thought, pretty interesting. So you got PJ Washington, Edwards, Gafford, Irving, Dinwiddie, and the Mavericks just kind of came out firing. Oklahoma City looked a little sluggish early. The Mavericks hung tight, hung around. Some nice shot making, particularly from Spencer Dinwiddie, pretty much throughout the game, if we're quite honest. He led the team with 28 points. And the Mavericks still somehow ended the first quarter down, where you're watching this, and with every quarter that passed, my confidence grew, The Mavericks ended up only down 2 at half. There were some moments in the game where it felt like the Thunder were going to turn on the Jets and really take it away. But one thing that is becoming increasingly apparent every time we watch this Oklahoma City Thunder team, there was a element of the broadcast from Mark Falwell talking about how they're like last in the league at free throw rate. The reason why is because they don't have anybody that can drive the basketball outside of Shea. They don't have anyone. Jalen Williams can get like a 3 dribble pull up, but he is not attacking the rim with kind of like reckless abandon kind of thing. And so the Mavericks, every time the Thunder would pull ahead, the Mavericks started hitting, key shots. It was, functional offense, some really, I was really like cutting and moving. There's some wild stuff. So at halftime, the Mavericks are down 2. And then in the third quarter, the Mavericks just came out and punched the Thunder like directly in the mouth. Was Dort ejected in the third quarter? That sounds right to me. Let's just go with it.
No, you're right. Sorry, I couldn't hit the mute button fast enough on my microphone. But yes, he got ejected in the third quarter.
In the third quarter, Lou Dort gets ejected. The Thunder pick up a technical foul on top of that ejection. It's a 5 free throw possession for the Mavericks. And at that point, the Mavericks had firm control. The challenge with this is there's 18 minutes left in the game. 18 minutes left in the game. And so the Thunder would do what good teams do, and they continued to make many runs to eat into the Mavericks margin. And so the Mavericks extended and it would kind of go back and forth this way, where the Mavericks lead stayed anywhere between like 9 and 13 points. And it was extraordinarily stressful, particularly to end the third quarter, where PJ Washington again played a magnificent offensive basketball game, scoring the ball. He early in the game right after the free throw possession I talked about, he tried to go for like a deep kill shot that made me I was like yelled. It was one of his only 3 misses, and I was like, no. And then to end the quarter, he sailed a pass to Kyrie Irving, which then gave the Thunder the ball back, and the lead essentially dropped from the Mavericks were up. What is it here? The Mavericks were, I'm sorry, I'm like flowing back through my game logs. I didn't take my notes correctly. The Mavericks were up 11, and then all of a sudden they're down 8 because just 2 possessions, the Thunder score a free throw and it's like, God dang it. Hopefully that one's not going to bite the Mavericks in the butt. The Mavericks inch into the fourth quarter. Kessler Edwards is still getting good minutes. And then kind of a bang series of plays around the 7:30 mark where Kessler Edwards smokes a layup. And I felt so bad for him. And then sort of chose to double at the wrong time. And it was essentially an 8-point swing over about 3 possessions where the Thunder cut it all the way back. And then the Mavericks did something that I was not expecting, where they gritted down and just held on to the fucking lead. Every time the Thunder made a run, every time the Thunder hit a shot, the Mavericks bounced back with a shot of their own and held on long enough to win. And I'm really enthusiastic about this win. I haven't had that much fun watching the Mavericks in a while.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to point out is I thought the chippiness and the intensity of this game was awesome for a regular season game in late January on a back-to-back with so many guys out. So I just wanted to call that out. I think that contributed to how much fun it was to watch. Like both of these teams, like the rivalry is here. The playoff series solidified it, but it's a great situation for a rivalry because these are obviously 2 teams. I don't know. They don't like each other. They play against each other in a physical fashion. There's intensity. There's some antagonists on each side, which helps. And then there's kind of like the fan part of it, like the history. Like, obviously these teams have playoff history dating back to before some of these guys were even in the league. And then the regional aspect of like Dallas and Oklahoma City, like that's cool as well. So just like that's cool. So I like all that, the trappings around this game and kind of what went into it, goes into it to make it a fun game. But yeah, the fourth quarter, I don't think anyone would have begrudged the Mavericks for losing that game in the fourth, considering the circumstances. Like I think everyone would have just kind of,
I would have been frustrated.
But then you would have rustled their hair and been like, attaboy, you tried. Pat on the back, you gave it a good effort. But what are you going to do? the way they responded was pretty cool. Maxey and Quentin Grimes, who had no shots made entering the fourth, combining to make 3 shots. I believe, 2 3-pointers. No, 3 3-pointers between the two of them. I thought that, Shea got loose a little bit. Their defensive strategy kind of bent but didn't break in the fourth.
Yeah, he frankly started attacking more. He
got around the doubles. He took the ball and took it to the basket before the Mavericks could even really get set and double. Like, he was kind of playing into what they were doing a little bit. I thought the story of the game, though, in terms of how they won, was, I think, the third quarter, like the way they doubled Shea. I thought, they doubled him and they left, the screener open near that free throw line, that traditional kind of 4-on-3 situation for whoever catches that pocket pass or that pass out of the double team. And I thought what the Mavericks did a really good job in the third quarter was they just let that guy do something. Instead of crashing down and giving up open corner threes, they're like, yeah, let Jalen Williams shoot a 12-foot floater. And he missed a couple of those. Aaron Wiggins, I think, missed a couple of those as well. And I think where they kind of got snake bitten a little bit in the fourth was they started crashing down on that guy when they doubled Shea, and they gave up some corner threes. But the Thunder missed like 2 straight wide open corner threes off those situations. So, part of it's luck, but also, they put themselves in that position.
The Mavericks, so it's interesting you mentioned this, because tactically, one of the things I think that I have heard discussed about why certain people feel that the Thunder have fake good shooters is because when the pressure ratchets up, some of the shots that these guys get in the regular season are slightly more tightly contested. Everybody's defense amps up just so for the playoffs. So when you see the Thunder like just bomb teams, there's elements that's where, the Mavericks are going to give up certain kinds of threes. They're just willing to take the risk. Like, this is sort of by design.
Right. They'd rather give up threes than layups.
Right. And so they're going to allow this to happen, but they're also taking kind of the mental gamble of the Thunder have missed a lot of shots against the Mavericks. Okay. And if you're the Thunder and you're looking at this big picture, you've got to say, what the fuck is going on? And they're all going to tell you, no, it's not true. Not true. Lies. Everybody lies. This lives in a team's head. I mean, well in the chat noted it. In the last 9 months, the Thunder have lost 12 games. They have lost 7 of those games to the Dallas Mavericks. Okay. It is a thing. Just is.
Crazy.
Anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
No, yeah. And I thought offensively, again, the Dinwiddie Kyrie pick and roll stuff was really good. I thought something the Mavericks did really well, and I don't know if this is even tactically, but they forced the Thunder into rotations pretty quickly tonight.
The ball moves faster than a dribbling player. Who knew?
Well,
you're right.
Yeah, that, but they did it with the pass, and they also, like, role players were winning those closeout. Like, the Thunder were closing out, and the Mavericks were beating those closeouts consistently, despite the fact that they didn't have Luka, they didn't have Clay, they didn't have Najee, so that they didn't have Jaden Hardy. Those are 3 offensively, 3 of their better. Those are all good offensive guys for them. Like, the fact that they were doing that, like Maxey had a good pump and go. Grimes was doing it well. I mean, Dinwiddie only missed 3 shots, and they were all threes. He was 11 of 14 from the field, by the way, which is funny because I know he had those couple of plays that drove you nuts. But yeah, I thought they did a good job forcing the Thunder and help situations, and then they kept the ball moving. They passed the ball. This is going to sound really weird. I thought they passed the ball pretty well for a team that had 20 turnovers. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but the Thunder are a team that will turn you over. And I thought, they got them a couple times, but I thought they also, they had 43 assists. No. Am I looking at that right? Yeah, they had 40. Wow, that cannot be right. No. They had 25 assists.
On 39 made buckets. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. They still had a positive assist to turnover ratio with 20 turnovers. So that's pretty good. Sorry, the ESPN box score was
the ESPN box scores have been janky for about 2 weeks,
but
still, everything is shifted.
Yeah. But still 25. And look at the bench. The the bench had 3 guys with at least 3 assists. Brandon Williams had 3, Quentin Grimes had 3, Maxi Kleber had 4. Part of that is the Mavericks did shoot the 3 well, so like guys kind of got some assists because guys just made some spot up shots. Like they were 14 of 31 from 3, so they did have a hot shooting night, which helps. But I just thought they got the Thunder into rotation really early, and I thought they moved the ball pretty well. Obviously, it didn't work out all the time because they did get, they had 20 turnovers, but that's kind of built in. The Thunder they're going to do that to you. Part of it though is how you survive that. And look at the sorry, I'm rambling now. But the points off turnovers, the Mavericks had 20 turnovers, but the Thunder only scored 15 points off the turnovers. The Mavericks actually scored more than the Thunder did off turnovers. They had 20.
I wonder how many of those, like we can't know this right now, but I wonder how many of those were live ball turnovers versus dead ball turnovers, because that's where the Thunder destroyed Dallas before, and it's sort of hard to figure. Like some of the offensive fouls, you're talking like that's a dead ball turnover. You start the ball over your back, you establish your defense. So that's something.
Yeah. But they had what 6, 7? They had 9 steals. The Thunder did, so that's at least 9 live ball turnovers right there. So that's a decent amount. I thought the Mavericks did good. The Thunder had 14 points in transition, 14 fast break points. They could have had like 30. Like I thought the Mavericks, they gave up a lot of transition opportunities just because of the turnovers and the steals. But I thought they got back. They got back in transition and like
better than we've seen them in like 5 years.
They contested so well in transition.
Honestly, it was playoff defense. It was playoff defense, playoff effort, playoff defense, and that's
effort. That's the key.
That's the key. And all right, so we're about halfway through the show here. And speaking of effort, I think all of you need to make an effort and go to bodyspec.com in the Dallas or in the Pod Maverick show notes and in the YouTube actual video description. Now, Body Spec is our official sponsor. We've been working with them about 6 weeks. For if you've been ignoring or skipping over it, please don't, because if you want to support our show, one way to do it and benefit yourself is go sign up for what is called a DEXA scan. It is a full body composition scan that tells you a lot about where you are on your health journey. There's a lot that you can do with this, guys. Professional basketball teams use this, including the ones that we're talking about. DEXA scans are incredibly valuable, and what they do is they tell you a lot about where you are in relation to your weight and or fitness journey, however you kind of want to view this. We've been doing this for 6 weeks now, like I mentioned. We're still using the same promo code. It's PODMAVS45 at checkout. If you go to the link and sign up and get one of these scans, I think you're going to be surprised. We have some show listeners that have already emailed me letting me know what they thought of the process. It's short. It takes about 10 minutes from when you either walk in the door or stop by a mobile station. They are all over town, and it's something that is either, really good for you. Could be a nice gift if you're, someone who's doing like a New Year's resolution. I recommend it. I'm going to go get another one here, probably in another 3 weeks, just to see where I am, because I've been trying to establish some new habits. Again, if you would consider going and visiting bodyspec.com in the show notes, we would really appreciate it. Now I'm going to insert some ads, and then Josh and I will be right back. And I want to go through, and I just kind of want to go and talk about every single player that the Mavericks that played well tonight. Okay, thanks for letting me talk for a minute. If you haven't subscribed to the show, do so. It's been a rough part of the year. It's been a rough 20 games. Okay, so if you've tuned down on the Mavericks and you just happen to tune in today because you wanted to know what happened, consider subscribing to our show on YouTube, subscribing to our show, however you get your podcasts. Every little bit helps Josh and I. We do this while, yes, we are lightly compensated. This is a labor of love much more than it is a job. So any sort of support is something that we value. So I know I just talked a whole bunch, but I don't want you to steal my guy. But let's kind of go player by player and just talk about their games for a few minutes each, because I really want to shower praise on pretty much the entire roster.
Okay, go ahead. What do you want to start with?
No, why don't you lead off with PJ?
Oh, with PJ, yeah.
PJ's like I want to talk about Edwards, but PJ deserves the most shine.
No. I mean, he continues his freaking rampage against the Thunder. It's really funny. I don't know what it is. I think part of it is that PJ, it's a good matchup for him from the sense that the Thunder, I mean, especially without Chet and especially without Hartenstein, I mean, they're a small team. I mean, even with Chet and Hartenstein, I mean, I guess they're going to play those guys together when they both are finally healthy. But like, even if one of those guys is playing, the Thunder don't have a bunch of big forwards. Like, it's really wing Jalen Williams, and then after that, like, who are they playing? That's like a big, they have the other Jalen Williams who kind of plays like plays a small ball stretch five, but they don't have a lot of big forwards that can match PJ's size and athleticism, wingspan, what have you. So it's a good matchup for him physically, and I think he takes advantage of that. I think it helps him score in the paint. I think the Mavericks are wise to post him up against some of these smaller Thunder players that he's bigger than. It always tickles me that whenever the Thunder try to like hide SGA on PJ, and the Mavericks will send PJ right to the rim and try to post him up. That happened a lot in the playoffs, not so much tonight. But yeah, 19. I think someone in our Slack said it was a Sean Marion box score: 22 points, 19 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He did have 5 turnovers, but what are you going to do without Luka, without Najee?
The turnovers are laugh out loud funny. Like, like when you compare some of the brilliance of his offensive basketball and really bully ball to the ways he's lost the ball, like he just sailed a pass over Kyrie Irving's head. Like, what is happening? It's very funny. Yeah. This is a man, like I won't be able to figure this out till tomorrow because I just have too much work to do tonight. But PJ's numbers versus Oklahoma City and then versus the rest of the league this year are probably hilariously different. Like, he hates he hates this team and loves beating them.
Yes, he does. He's leaned into the bit, and yeah, he played awesome. I know he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he was okay in the paint. He was okay. He was attacking. He had 10 free throw attempts. So yeah, I mean, he was everywhere.
So my guy that I want to talk about is Kessler Edwards. Now, I've had a soft spot for Kessler Edwards because he went to where I went to college, Pepperdine University, came into the league, played for the Nets, bounced around a little while, hasn't found a home yet. He is on a 2-way contract with the Mavericks. He is not an NBA player in the sense that he has an NBA contract. He has a 2-way contract. So for the Mavericks to start him, he does have a pretty
kind of out of the blue. It's not like he had a run of really good like that. This was kind of like, let's see what you got.
His rookie season, he actually started a number of games with the Nets, and the Nets are just a weird franchise right now.
The KD Kyrie Nets.
Right? I'm not implying he's not an NBA player. He is an NBA level player who has not found a home. But when you play a game like this and play this well, he makes a damn good case for something, because he was outstanding defensively for most of this game. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
He stayed home on like, he didn't jump into Shea too much. He didn't bite on fakes. He was good in the help. He did have a couple of like I mentioned, the layup and the kind of miscue with the led to the 3-pointer. But you know what? For a G League guy, a 2-way guy, to play minutes like this on the road after not playing at all and giving you 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists and a block. I was delighted. And, the Mavericks really don't have a lot of room in their rotation when they're healthy, but when they're healthy has been more of a concept than a reality. So I love it that a guy took advantage of these minutes.
Yeah. And I think what's nice is they just have someone with size. Like, I feel like they've been using these 2-way contracts for like really small guards over the last like 5 years. So for one of them to be a really physically, he's a pretty physically gifted guy at his size. So yeah, he played awesome. Not much more, they didn't ask him to do much. I'm kind of surprised the Thunder didn't like treat him like Tony Allen a little bit, but to be fair, he made a 3 and he made another bucket.
And he gave up a couple, like he was really overly cautious. I wouldn't have minded him taking some of the attempts that they were giving him.
Yeah, he was playing on offense a little bit, like trying not to make a mistake, which I get. Like, he's just on the floor to play defense and stay out of the way.
But, like with the spacing that the Mavericks had, he dribbled in and just made himself a quasi threat and kept the ball moving. The ball didn't stick with him. That sort of stuff was just nice. He did bully Shy once, which was actually pretty exciting for me. Who'd you like to go with next?
Let's go to Omax. 14 points? 14
Mm.
points. Is that a career high? That has
Did
to
it? It's a season high for certain, and that's in 21 minutes with coming off the bench. Really something for Momax, and he could have had more if he would make his damn free throws.
I know. Yeah, he was 5 of 9 from the free throw line, and two. He missed one of those, and that came when he kind of had a wide open fast break opportunity. He got fouled, so it's not his fault. But I was hoping he would have crammed it. But yeah, he was active. I think the thing about him so far before this little stretch where he's perked up a little bit was he was just on the floor and you just didn't notice him. He just didn't do anything. Not to discredit him, but like he wasn't shooting, he wasn't rebounding. He would get on the floor and he would get, and it's tough for these guys to get on the floor and you get 2 or 3 minutes to try to impress the coach to show you something, and maybe the ball doesn't even find you, or you don't even have an opportunity to make a play. So that just makes it all the more. That just makes it harder. But the fact that he 14, the fact that he got up, that he had 9 free throw attempts in 21 minutes for a guy. I mean, I'm trying to look it up. Does he have 9 free throws? I mean, I'm sure he does. But I mean, he averages 1 free throw attempt per game, and he had 9.
It's pretty.
Right?
His energy.
Yeah, he was everywhere. He didn't stop him going.
And that seemed to really catch the Thunder off guard, which is it's second night of the back-to-back for them too. But it was just surprising because one of the things that has been a Thunder calling card is just how stinking hard they play. And that's why I was kind of fearful of them the whole game, where it's like, all right, they're going to turn on and do something. And of course they did. But Omax's energy in that first half in particular was really important.
Yeah. Also, another big forward. The Thunder don't have big forwards. Like,
he's a big guy.
He's
making an argument for these Maxey minutes, I think, but it's Maxey still does. We'll talk about Maxey at some point too. But I was delighted, just delighted.
I think there's minutes for both. It depends on when everyone's healthy. If they want to play a lot of 3-guard, you're gonna definitely have to cut minutes from somewhere, when everyone's healthy. But I don't know. I mean, they could play him at the 3 a little bit, and let's try some different things. This is probably the biggest blessing, so to speak, of all these injuries is, I mean, if he would not be playing, if it weren't for that. So This is invaluable experience for him that could pay off down the road.
I also owe it, the next guy I have to at least give credit to is the guy that I rag on a whole hell of a lot, which is Spencer Dinwiddie. Once again, he plays a whole bunch of minutes in a starting role. 35 minutes, scored 28 points. He was 11 of 14 from the floor. He missed 3 shots, and they were all from 3. So that means he hit all 8 of his 2-point attempts. He was absolutely invaluable. He attacked at a lot of the right times. One of my criticisms of him over the last several games would be when he over dribbled. I never felt like that was the case tonight, or at least only a couple of times, as opposed to 7 or 8 possessions. So his shot making was, and just he caught the Thunder off guard too with
decisiveness.
What he was doing. Yeah. And that was really impressive.
Did you like that dunk in the fourth quarter?
That dunk was.
Where'd that come from?
I mean, because again, Maxey hits a 3, he hits a dunk to end the game effectively. That was a wild sequence of events.
Yeah, and that's right. The Thunder roaring back, and then those 2 plays, that was pretty cool. Didn't see the big thing, like you said, didn't see a lot of him holding the ball from the 18-second part of the shot clock all the way down to 2, which is he gets in trouble with. So that was good.
Who next for you?
Boy. I kind of want to make fun of Daniel Gafford somehow only grabbing 3 defensive rebounds in 23
Pretty
minutes.
Amazingly funny.
But also he got freaking curb stomped in the first half. So I don't know how, the fact that he even played in the second half.
Pretty interesting. I was worried for a bit there.
And he had 5 fouls, but he had a nice post up in the fourth quarter. He scored well. He took advantage of his size offensively. So, it
was gnarly. It was a into shot clock lefty hook.
Yeah. Post up. The Mavericks did a good job posting up the small. They didn't do it a ton, but they did it just enough because this Thunder team's just so small. They have players that are comfortable posting up. So that's a real weapon. But the real one, like Kyrie, 39 minutes on the second half back to back, where his back is probably still effed up a little bit. Like you said that injury, that's not
Just worry.
Like that's something you manage, even though he's back. Like there's a chance that he's still feeling it a little bit.
And then when he stubbed his toe, like that actually made me more. That actually made me more worried about his back, because it's like when you do anything to your feet, it like reverberations all the way through your body. And I was just like, But it's so funny. He was 8 of 17. He missed some unbelievably easy shots.
Yeah, he did.
And then made some shots that made you scream at the television if you were hyped. I mean, he was just the full Kyrie experience tonight. I was really, really pleased watching him play basketball is what I'll say.
Finally made some threes. I felt like he hasn't had a big 3-point shooting night in a while. And maybe that's just, I mean, he was 4 of all. Yeah. I mean, this was his best shooting performance from 3, since the end of, since like the end of December. He kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch. He was shooting 31% from 3 in January entering this game. So,
right.
That was nice. And I thought, again, shouts to Jason Kidd for listening to the podcast. I thought they used him off ball more as a shooter, a little bit more than they did against Minnesota last night. I mean, he had that huge 3 off that inbounds play in the 4th, in the corner, catching, just a catch and shoot coming off a screen. That's such a good part of his game and it's hard. And this isn't really the Mavs' fault. It's hard for him to do that when there's no Luka. It's harder for him to play off ball. So the fact that they were still able to find some ways for him to do that tonight, that was nice.
That was nice, man. All right. So that's pretty much the starting lineup. We talked to Omax. I was really pleased to see Quentin Grimes sink a 3 during that clutch time run, because he has been ass from 3 and he hit 2. Just that they need his contributions. He's a valuable player. He had 3 first half turnovers in 10 minutes. And I thought I just thought we'd not see him again, because they're like bad, like derpy turnovers. Like, how is this possibly happening? Yeah. So he was definitely something. Shout out to Markieff Morris for eating 4 minutes of playing time, being 0 for 2 and somehow being a +5.
+5. That's right. that's all you could take. Good for Maxey hitting that corner 3.
Yeah, feels good.
Yeah, I mean,
that was
a huge shot too. I think the Thunder cut it to 2 when he made that corner 3 in the 4th quarter. So that was a gotta have it shot, and he made it. Had 4 assists, so he moved the ball well. So yeah, I mean,
he's playing on a minutes restriction. Kid talked about it. They are.
Maxey is.
Yeah, Maxey is. He's supposed to be on a 15 minute per game restriction, and he played 19 tonight. I don't know. I don't remember why. So the fact that he even played, the Mavericks are throwing together some hodgepodge lineups, and that's kind of the point here is where we're going with this, because the last guy that we haven't mentioned yet was other 2-way player Brandon Williams, who they said he was the G League's highest scorer.
Yeah, by points per game.
And I'm just like, every time I watch him shoot the ball, I'm like, that's not going in. But whatever. He had 3 rebounds and 3 assists in 8 minutes. Like, you gotta give credit to a guy who makes a positive, ends with a positive assist to turnover ratio in a game where you're just trying to get certain guys, minutes and bites of rest. So I was just very pleased with that. Very pleased.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, everyone that played had good plays, positive moments. And I thought the coaching staff did a really good job tonight.
That's right.
Well,
is there anything else we should hit on, or should I hop on over and start a Mavs party?
You do start a Mavs party. You're probably going to get a good reaction tonight, I would hope.
I shout out to my guy Ash, who hung out with me last night, and then I talked to myself and answered questions from the chat. I actually have been flagging some of the questions that I've been seeing during this, and I will answer them during the next show. So why don't you get on with your evening? We'll head over and start a Mavs party for anybody watching on the live show. Anybody listening on YouTube or listening on audio stream on Friday morning, I will post the Mavs party sometimes Friday afternoon. We will be back. I don't know. Honestly, the Celtics
Saturday.
Yeah, the Celtics game starts at 4:30, which is probably nice for Josh and I wanting to have like a quote free evening, but the game ends right in the middle of when we're all feeding
chaos.
So it's like we're not like I wouldn't be so we'll probably do like an 8 p.m. start time show, like once we get the kid bedtime stuff cooking, and then we'll be on. All right.
Yep.
Josh, thanks so much for hanging out. Everybody else,
have a good
tight. We'll be right back. All right, go Mavs. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the appropriately named Pod Maverick Mavs Party. We're here. It's 10:30. It's Thursday night, January 23rd. If you listen to the show regularly, you know when I'm actually trying to do my job well, we host a secondary podcast where you can come participate, share your thoughts on the Mavs, and really about anything else basketball-wise that you want to talk about. I already got 2 people waiting, which is fantastic and makes me really delighted to do this. But if you are new to the show, here in the YouTube live stream, you can click. There's a pinned StreamYard link. You can access it from your phone. You can access it from your computer. It puts you in a waiting room where you will then be brought up here to talk with me about whatever Mavs stuff you feel like sharing, or in some cases, Brian, Roby, and I talking about Apple TV Plus. Let me see here. If you haven't listened to the recap show and you're listening on audio stream, please consider going back and listen to that recap show. If you want to join this show, come find us on YouTube. We are 30 people away from 3,500 YouTube subscribers. Doesn't seem like much because we're not a great big channel, but I every little bit helps, and we are grateful for the folks that help make our show great. Coming up first is my man Sudarshan, calling all the way in from India, which is my favorite thing about this show. Get people around the world. Sudarshan is also writing something for us tonight, so I should give him shit about that, but hey, I'm glad you're here. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. I mean, yeah, I'll apologize for the slight delay in the piece just to hang out after this win.
No, you should. This is what we watch this for fun. Like all this should be fun, and it's not been very fun lately, so everybody should revel in it.
No, I mean it's really weird how this zombie Mavericks team is turned into kryptonite for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
It feels great.
I mean, yeah, I was just expecting the entire third quarter to be like the Mavs go down by 20 after like Oklahoma City just rained down 3 after 3, but then it's like they turned the defense up, and in some sense that was aided by the refs sort of giving them a very favorable whistle.
I felt like they woke up a bit from their funk and attacked a little more, because one of the things Josh and I didn't talk about at all, and this is a bit of a mistake, is the Mavs ran a matchup zone that gave the Thunder some real problems, and SGA finally just sort of put his head down, and that helps because the Mavericks didn't really have great rim protection, and they were basically mucking it up, and that, so the fact that the refs kind of tightened up their calls a little bit, it wasn't surprising. It was a home, but also they were just attacking more. So it goes both ways, in my opinion.
Yeah, that zone defense really screwed with the Thunder offense. I mean, it also helped that for 3 quarters SGA was missing his shots.
He missed some weird stuff tonight, didn't he?
He missed stuff that he would make in his sleep. But I guess he used up all his juice against the Jazz.
Yeah. That's right.
And I mean, to some sense, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's also playing with some wrist soreness, which is what made him sit out again last week against Dallas. So, I mean, but still, we take what we can get in this sort of doom scenario that we have going on right now. So, I mean, it's like after the Thunder game, I was like, yes, let's tank for Cooper Flag. And then after this game, I'm like, fuck it, we're playing for the playoffs. It's this weird
there's a
that we have to remain in.
There's a there's I don't know if this is actually a pirate saying, but it's a thing I say to my colleagues whenever work is bad. And the phrase is the beatings will continue until morale improves. And that's sort of how I feel about this Mavericks team, where they're just down so bad that they're gonna have to, like, the only way out of some shit is through it. And they have to keep playing. You know, there's a question that I'm going to address a little later in the pod that somebody asked. It's in, you know, if guys start coming back from injuries in a certain way and the Mavericks have not totally died on the vine, which is still possible, make no mistake, between now and All-Star break, then I think you have reason for a fair amount of optimism. And even if they're, you know, let's just say they're in the play-in range, you still got to love the puncher's chance that they have.
No, I mean, the worst case scenario, I think we've discussed it in the Slack. The worst case scenario for most top playoff teams in the West is to face a fully healthy Mavericks team who are like the 8th seed, which would.
I'm not sure when you started watching the NBA, but I know
2000.
2000. Okay, so you are a long term. So anybody that's younger has heard tales of the 2007 Warriors team, but they basically got their lives together in the last 20 games of the year. They were I don't want to say just like this Mavericks team, but they were hyper talented. So they were not a traditional 8. So it's like, if we're down bad like that, I think there's something to our hopefulness about having a puncher's chance in a first round matchup like this.
Yeah. No, it's great. And also, one more point is that we after the loss, the last time when we were on the pod with David, we were discussing the fact that Kid barely does any coaching during the regular season. Look what happens when he actually coaches his ass off.
He was active tonight. He was like bouncing really around. It was great.
And it actually felt like the Mavs, I mean, like you and Josh were talking about on the recap, it felt like they ran sets. And it felt like it was a game plan set to play the Thunder's defense against them. Like it take advantage of how aggressive the Thunder are on defense. Like they switch in a flash. So I mean, in some sense, like they had a lot of pump fakes, a lot of drive-in kicks, in some sense, to take advantage of how out of position Oklahoma City constantly finds themselves with how quickly they switch, which is, I mean, it's fantastic. I get it that there's 82 games, and there's not a lot of time to actually set game plans, but it would be great for the Mavericks to actually take advantage of the fact that they're so depleted to actually game plan and put people in the best position. So it was great for that.
Really fun game. You got anything else?
No, I'm going to get back to writing the grades. Spencer Dinwiddie rebounds with an A+ after getting a D last night.
The Spencer experience is very emotional for me, and I can't talk about it in a rational way because I hate him so much. Like there's a movie that my wife and I watched when we were just first dating called 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, and
at the end of the movie, Julia Stiles is reading her poem about Heath Ledger, and it's like, I hate the way I don't hate you, not even a little bit, not at all. And that's got it. When Spencer does stuff like this, it's like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, we can't get rid of the spirit of Tim Hardaway Jr. no matter what we try. Like Spencer's just
in a couple days, and I'm absolutely terrified, just terrified. So, all right, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. Take care.
All right. So again, guys, if you're new to the show, you're hanging out in the chat down there and you got something to say, click on that StreamYard link and we can come and talk basketball. Coming up next is my man, Brian. Brian, long time no chat, but that's entirely my fault. What's going on?
No, it's all good, brother. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks for checking.
Heck yeah. So, your Dallas basketball Mavericks have won a game.
Again, it's exciting. Nice. Yeah, of the 5 games now, 5 games since Luka's been hurt. 2 of them are against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Like I almost couldn't even enjoy this one because of the Charlotte loss a few days back. But all I had to do was scroll Twitter a little bit. I saw a couple of OKC fans that some of them teenagers chirping, and you know what? I'm gonna sit in this one. I'm gonna stew for a bit. We're not gonna have like much going on past this, I don't think. So I'm gonna enjoy this one because this was awesome. This was a tough physical, especially in the second half, a physical ass kicking by the Dallas Mavericks and specifically the Dallas Mavericks front court players. Like Omac and PJ and even Kessler and Daniel Gafford were being super physical with those dudes, and they could not take it. They could not take it. They were getting wherever they wanted on those drives. They were driving and redriving, kicking out to the guards.
They are a team of fake tough guys.
And not even just fake tough guys. They're a team of short, skinny guys. That's the other thing. They don't like. I know they were missing iHeart or whatever. I don't care. We had 8 people on the injury report. I don't care about your injuries.
I really like Isaiah Hartenstein. He causes.
I think he's great.
But if he's your answer, the question is worse than you think.
Like, and obviously, like the true answer is okay, is him and Chet. But even then, man, look, I'm sorry, dude. Isaiah Hartenstein was not making like a huge difference for what was going on tonight. Like those dudes, Omax was putting his shoulder. He was catching the ball, and if he pump faked or just passed the open three because he did that a couple times and it was kind of annoying. But once he put that shoulder into whoever his defender was, and God bless Case and Wallace, man, he's 6'3". They got him guarding all types of small forwards and power forwards and shit he shouldn't be doing. Omax put that shoulder into that dude's chest. He turned that corner on him and was on his way to the rim. And all they tried to do all that foul and hacking shit they do on the way to the basket in most games, and they could not pry the ball out of Omax's hands. I will give him all the credit in the world for that. His hands were stone tonight in a good way. And he kept getting fouled and kept getting fouled and kept driving. And I was like, dude, that is the aggression we've got to play with against these dudes. That's how you put teams that small and that physically disadvantaged to bed, is you bludgeon them to death. So it was really, really fun to see that.
What else you got?
Good to see Grimes hit a couple. He's had a rough go, but the last, 4 games, but he hit a couple shots towards the end, and he and PJ were locked in on. This is the best defense PJ has played since he sprained his knee. The shots.
That's a great point.
Yeah, like he sprained his knee, and he hadn't been the same since. Like his rebounding numbers weren't really the same. The defense wasn't really there. It was a little bit more Matador defense than we were used to seeing from him. But it could have just been, the knee sprain on top of like all the guys being out and that wearing on him, and him still playing 36 minutes every single night. But he played 41 minutes on the second night of the back-to-back and looked like a star. So shout out to him. Shout out to Quentin Grimes. Shout out to Maxi Kleber. Shout out to all those dudes. They gave amazing effort tonight on the second of the back-to-back, and they put the boots to the 1 seed in a way that was super refreshing to see.
Feels good. So I have to ask you, even though we've DM'd about this, talk to me a little bit about Apple Plus. Was I right about it being a rewardingly weird television service?
Yeah, I still need to dig into some of the movies, but I have finished to this point. I am current on Severance, Mythic Quest, finished Ted Lasso, and I'm midway through the first season or almost done with the first season of Shrinking now.
Ooh, shockingly weird and funny. I like that show.
You know what? I've never liked Jason Segel's face, so I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. I'm enjoying the show.
Harrison Ford cursing. That you get a lot of, like, Harrison Ford starts cursing, and you get a lot of.
It's also just seeing Harrison scoot around there and just be Harrison Ford. That's
Coffee Chest in the chat. Slow Horses is a great show, as is For All Mankind. I just keep going with it. Once you're done with the series, you can cancel it for 6 months because they just don't have that many. But it's every show I've liked except for maybe 2. It's a great time.
Yeah, I'm running through all of these. Slow Horses is on the list. I think For All Mankind is also on the list. There's a ton of stuff on the list because you sent me the list. But yeah,
I did. That's right. I did that. I'm a pusher. I'm a pusher.
Look, man, it's good stuff. I appreciate it.
My favorite thing is my father asks me for recommendations and then takes none of them.
That's always fun.
Hey, man. Well, thanks for hanging out. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Yes, sir, dude. Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay, we're a little bit into the show. I got to make a pitch real quick. Guys, I've talked to you often, early and often about Body Spec. I would appreciate it if you would visit the link in the show notes. As I've talked to you about it over and over again, it is a company that provides a full body scan known as a DEXA scan. It can tell you a lot of information about where you are health-wise at a really shockingly affordable cost. Body Spec's competitors charge as much as $150. You can get it for the price. That will really surprise you. I'm not supposed to read what that price is, but it's worth just looking into. So if you like supporting our show and are interested in what, this sort of thing could tell you, go get one. So go to the link in the show notes. I have gotten one. I get another one. What mine told me was that despite being what I felt like was very good shape, I had a lot of visceral fat, which is the fat that are like around the organs. And that's actually quite dangerous long term. I'm 40 years old. I need to get my shit together. So I've made some changes to my health these last probably 3 weeks, and we're going to see if I can stay alive, which would be helpful. I'll probably insert some ads here too, and then I will be right back. I got 2 more guys, one of my longtime friends who I've not talked to very much this season, if at all, and then another friend down in New Zealand. So, all across the world here. We will be right back. Welcome back. This is Pod Maverick Mavs Party. I scared him. My long-term Dodang, who's been listening to my show here for what I feel like is like 5 years. How you doing, my man? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm glad to be alive, let's just say.
Yeah, so honestly, I was thinking about you at the show the other night, and I actually asked the chat. I was like, anybody seen him? And so for you to pop up the next day makes me quite delighted. So talk to me. What's going on? What do you think of this win? Have you been watching the Mavericks very much, or have you just been kind of like, ugh?
I've been watching them, but kind of watching them like kind of half-heartedly, let's just say. Just some of these losses just beat the crap out of me, and been a little busy with my health too, so I had to get some of my rest. But the thing that I like and that I loved, and I just wish the formula would always stay, is please keep on attacking the paint. This year, they've set a record for paint attempts. 11 games where they went in the paint, 30 times or more or something like that?
Right. Harp was engaged in the game. Like, you could tell they were doing some right stuff because Harper was calling stuff out. And there's been games the last 2 months where he's very bored on the broadcast. And so he was talking about paint touches. It was really good to see.
Yeah, it had the feeling of hatred between the two. And I think some of the game also turned when Dort had that little shot below the belt right there.
Yeah.
That turned the game, in my opinion, and really spiced it up a different level. The intensity really got shot up on our defense. And I just don't understand, these guys, the formula of success has always been touch the paint. And if you don't get a good shot, you can get fouled or you can kick it out.
The Thunder don't have any big men right now that you're afraid of. It's one thing if Chet's there, but it's like, okay, he's not. So just keep going. And they've done it. So the fact that they've won this season series 3 out of 4 is absolutely hilarious to me.
Yes, it's absolutely hilarious too that they're short because they had a chance to take Derek Lively and they gave him away to us, and they picked up Bertrands. I'm still so happy about, even though Lively's hurt. Oh my God.
That trade has worked out. And honestly, they had a chance to go for Gafford too. In deadline, and they we ended up we sent them a pick. There's some pick thing that's going to come home to roost at the worst possible time, but not today. So I'm not too worried about it at the moment.
But I'm so scared because they have a treasure trove of ones, high ones. What are they hoarding them for? I don't understand. Do you?
No, I don't know.
I mean,
It's
they
really
could use
something.
another big. They could use a big 4. They could always use, bigger forward, small forward, and another center. It just shows you their weakness, through and through. Big teams, physical teams can out physical them.
And I just sort of have the opinion too that they've played so well and it's such a high level for 40 games now. I
Mhm.
question whether they have that extra step to get to, because honestly, watching some of the games they played, they've been outstanding
Mhm.
this year. And I've thought to myself repeatedly, like, you can't, like, how do you play better than this? It's really something.
Well, I think one thing if they could do is pick up another late game scorer or shooter, somebody with a little more veteran experience toward the end of games. That would make them extremely dangerous. But I don't know what they're waiting for. I was a little afraid that they may go after Butler. You know,
The only thing I think I've heard is they're gonna really make a push for the guy with the Nets, Cam. My brain is broken because
oh,
I'm
he used to
tired.
play for Phoenix,
So we will see what they do. But
right?
it's
Or
it's
if they
good.
pick up Trey Murphy, the guy that I want from New Orleans, you know, that would
It's
scare me.
Yeah, that dude's awesome. Campaign, there we go. Campaign, no, not Campaign. Cam Johnson. Sorry, brain broken. Cam Johnson
Right.
up at the Nets, who's shooting the ball aggressively. So, you got anything else for us, my friend?
Nope. Just glad to be back, and hopefully I can make some more of these. And
Well, I've not
glad
been
you're doing
hosting them.
okay. You guys are doing great.
I took like a month off because like Christmas happened, the baby, everybody, like my kids were home like 24 out of 26 days, and I was starting to feel, just because of holiday stuff and illness, and I was like, I can't stay up till 1 a.m. and then get up with my kids at 6. I'm too old for it now. When I was pre children, it's like whatever. He's a zombie through the next day. Can't do it now. But yeah, man, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Great seeing you, Kirk.
You too, buddy. All right. Last but not least is my man Rain. What's going on, Rain?
Hey there, Kirk. I'm going to be honest. This is probably the first fourth quarter I've watched all the way through in quite a while.
Just turned it off. Feel like I'm not doing it.
Just straight up turn it off. Like again, in my time zone, it's the middle of the day. There's so many other things to do, and when the game is just not that compelling, it's so hard to keep it on. Or even with my partner, she's like, "Why are you still watching? They're doing nothing but making you angry." And I'm like, "Yep,
it's a good point.
I'm gonna go do something else."
No, season's too long. Sometimes you just got to walk away.
I'm on a bit of a high, obviously, after that game. I mean, I think it's official that whenever we play OKC, that PJ is the MVP of the team. It's I think the only loss we've had to them this season, PJ didn't play. Ironically, Luka did in that one.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 wins without Luka is just ridiculous.
I think, and this is probably going to be a relatively hot take, I think this is just a good matchup for us at this point. I couldn't really tell you why. I'm not going to claim to be the savant that knows all the ins and outs of basketball, but overall, I'm still really cool. Like, I know we're on a high. Sorry to bring the show down at the end, but I'm still just so concerned about Luka. Like, when he finally comes back, is he going to come back and look like he did last season, or is he going to come back and look like he did at the beginning of the season? If he comes back and he looks good, I will take this team to the moon, even without Lively. Sure. But if not, it's concerning. It is concerning with like, it's just freak injury after freak injury after freak illness after anything that can go wrong seems to go wrong. Mm-hmm. And partially why I haven't been in any of these spaces. I know you haven't really.
I haven't even hosted them for the same reasons, where it's just like, I don't want to do this, and you know, I'm trying to will them to a certain extent back to a more positive vibe, and you know, a game like this certainly goes a long way. So, oh, there you go. It cut out for a second. I don't know why.
Yeah, sorry about that. My headphones completely just disconnected from my phone. Yeah, I'm just Kyrie's back, but if we can just get a couple more games like this, not drop too far in the standings, and if we can just get Luka back healthy and he can have just, if they can get back to that crazy pace, and hopefully with Luka back, with the rest of the guys healthy, even if it's not Lively, but let's say Lively's still out for 2-3 months, whatever. If just about everyone else can stay healthy, Luka might not actually have to expend everything he's got left in the tank by the time they get to the playoffs, have a healthy playoffs, hopefully not be in the play-in. Who knows? Maybe versing the Thunder in the first round is the best thing that they could possibly hope for by being in the play-in. Who knows?
Well,
so
this is worth bringing this up because somebody earlier in the chat, Twitter handle The Chosen One asked, Luka's getting reevaluated on Saturday. What does that mean exactly? I don't have a good answer. I will simply say that my take would be they're going to look at him, look at the schedule, look at him, see how things go, and they should try to push this as long as they can. Bringing him back early would be quite, this is straightforward. Could be catastrophic to the rest of their hopes. And so I think this is just my guess. So they play Boston Saturday, they reevaluate Luke on Saturday, whatever. I think that they would probably reevaluate him on a weekly basis until he's able to come back. Let's just go ahead and chalk the Celtics game at home in Dallas, 4:30 p.m. start time as a loss. Let's just do that for the sake of argument. Then they play 3 games in a row that are like vital, I think, to what we're talking about here. They go Washington, New Orleans, Detroit. Washington is a rollover team they should destroy. New Orleans and Detroit are playing good basketball, but they are winnable games. I think if the Mavericks were to go on a little mini 3-game run, that will then sort of set the cushion for the rest of the pre-All-Star break games. Because they play Cleveland, the broken Sixers, Boston, Houston, Sacramento, Golden State, Miami, New Orleans, and then Miami. That's the last game before All-Star break. So if they can go into I don't want to say momentum because momentum's insane, but if they could go in just not with their tail tucked between their legs, that would go a long way for me.
Honestly, when it comes to bringing Luka back, they're saying, he may, the goal is to bring him back just before All-Star break. I'm like, at that point, why not just sit him out a couple more games, give it the rest of the All-Star break, really ramp him up over that time, and hit the ground running? At the end of the day,
I suspect that's what they want to do. That's what I mean. The longest break pot, but I don't really know. I mean, we're not going to get any concrete information. We're just not. It's going to be very frustrating.
This is a point. I'm vaguely aware that the medical staff has changed substantially.
Sure.
And maybe I'm misremembering, but is it just me, or have the Mavericks have always been rather ambiguous about what information they do put out regarding injured players?
Yeah, teams are getting worse about that. It
feels like it's substantially worse than it was in the past, especially with Kyrie, such conflicting bulging disc, back strain, yada yada yada.
Right.
Where do we stand? Because if that's a bulging disc, that's a lifetime kind of thing. And it's that kind of, again, not to be a downer, it kind of puts a bit of a time. It kind of speeds up that clock that Kyrie's got at his age. Those are the kind of things that generally just get worse over time.
Well, Josh and I talked about this a little bit last night during the show, where we came into the season with high hopes, but we never addressed kind of the lingering frailty that was around the edges of because it's not, Clay's always been a guy that plays a lot of games. Kyrie's had odd injuries, but and he's in his millionth year. So there's just those two were kind of staring us in the face, and I don't think we talked about it enough in the preseason. But they also built a roster that they had hoped could withstand some of this. It's just you can't really ever expect to be without Luka for as many games as they're going to end up being without. That just blows up your whole plan no matter what you do.
It certainly does. And I mean, if Exum was back, which there was an update that he's still a significant amount of time away from returning.
We've passed the 3-month mark that Shams tweeted about in early October. we're way off. Like whatever's wrong with him it's just not progressing the way that it should, and they're not going to tell us about it.
Certainly not. But that's what I'm saying. If we just had one more ball handling guard, we might have fared a little bit better. Obviously, you can never be prepared to lose both your supermax players. Like, no, if Boston, say, lost both Tatum and Brown, like, what are they going to do? They're going to drop for sure. Losing Chet, losing SGA, or Harnessine SGA, any top team that loses its two superstars at the same time is going to lose some games.
Yep.
No team can survive that. But this is definitely still one of the deepest teams that they've had. But like you said, you can't design a team to be fully functional without its two superstars. If you think about it, like how much. If you just think about how many dollars of the team's cap that is, it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
So they've fared okay. It's just it's some of the games they've won make no sense versus some of the games they've lost that make no sense.
That's been the Luka Mavs of the past. It's they win the games they shouldn't, and they lose the layups.
That's right, man. That's right.
So yeah, a bit of deja vu, but not too much else for me. I'm just glad that we can have this little victory over the OKC. I'm keen for this matchup in the playoffs, assuming we make it.
Yeah, it feels kind of destined to a certain extent. So, well, hey, I appreciate you joining the show. Let you get back to your day. Thanks so much. Okay.
No worries. Thanks, Kirk. See you there.
All right. This has been a good show. Just over an hour between both of them. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with me. If anybody else wants to join, I'll keep talking for a minute or more. But then I'm going to go get stuff edited and go to bed. Mavericks play Boston on Saturday. Josh and I will have probably a show at around like 8 or 9, I would guess, just because the game will end right around the time we're putting our kids to bed. So, I don't know. Great win. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Everybody be good. Talk soon. Go Mavs.